everyone. Welcome to the Quarantine Zone, where you're always welcome here. I'm Jamie, and this is our first episode, so let me introduce everybody. We have Luke.
Hello.
We have Rachel.
Hi.
And we have Sean.
Hello.
So, this is our first episode. We are the Quarantine Zone podcast. Welcome. We should mention what this is about. We like The Last of Us. That's the simplest way we can put it. So this is kind of like an episode, a pilot even, to kind of talk about how we found the game, what we like about it, and then that'll be it for now. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to say the least. So who wants to start off? I guess I'll start off.
Yeah, you can start off.
Okay, no, it's totally fine. So I heard about Last of Us. I want to say I can't remember. It's like December 2016 or something like that. I've been like seeing images of cosplays and stuff, and one of my friends said, "Oh, it's a really good game." I never really knew about it because I've never actually played like a Naughty Dog game before. My friend basically recommended me to play it. I just didn't really. I was like, because it's just a singular game, and then I kind of like. It's hard to like. I think I played it in like November of last year, and that's when it like really hit. It's like, oh shit, this is a great game. And I feel like the moment that I kind of took away the most from it was like the prologue really does hit hard, and it was definitely something to. It was a strong intro with a really strong story all the way through. Performances were great. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. And yeah, that's all I can really say currently.
Fair enough.
Because I've just been thinking about big dick energy.
Stop.
We're always thinking about that in this podcast.
It's the motto.
It's true.
Come for The Last of Us, stay for the big dick energy.
Just every character in The Last of Us radiates big dick energy.
Well, some of them.
Except David.
I was going to say, are you sure all of them?
Oh yeah, except. Oh, be sure about that. I suppose I shall go next. This is like an AA meeting. Hi, I'm Sean, and I have an addiction to The Last of Us. I played The Last. I think I was the first one out of everyone here to play The Last of Us. I played the last. Well, actually, that's a lie. I watched a playthrough of The Last of Us, like when The Last of Us came out, and my brother was like, "Hey, this is cool. You should come watch this with me." And I did, and I was like, "Oh heck, man, I stan." And I just thought like the whole game was like really pretty and like nice to watch. I cosplayed Ellie like the weekend after the game dropped because I just instantly really loved the game. And I had a convention coming up, and I was like, I'll just throw together a cosplay because that's just the way I was. The Last of Us was like the first game that like really got me into like gaming, I guess. Like I'd always enjoyed video games before that. Like I was a huge fan of the Walking Dead game, and then The Last of Us came out, and I kind of realized like how great story like games can be for like storytelling and stuff like that. And I've just loved it ever since, and it ruined my life. It's true. And I just love everything about it. I love the characters. I love the world they put together. I love the animations. I don't know. I have a deep love for The Last of Us and Naughty Dog. I think they're amazing at what they do.
That is true. Yeah, they really do knock it out of the park with everything that they do. Not even with their best title of all, Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Yeah, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just like I guess The Last of Us really changed like my perspective on like what games could be, because there was like I guess there was never that had been like as realistic and like well put together as The Last of Us before. And I don't know, it's just like I still think it's the best game ever made. And I will always stand to that opinion, just because there's no game that I've found yet that's beaten everything that The Last of Us has. Like, it's just a perfect story.
Mhm.
And like the DLC was amazing as well. I don't know. I love The Last of Us more than I love myself.
I guess I'll go next then.
Yee.
So, I'm pretty new to The Last of Us. When I first heard about it, all I really heard from my friends, because they were, was that it was a zombie like story game, and I was like, oh, doesn't really sound like my kind of thing. And I never really looked more into it. And then I became good friends with Sean, and it was all she ever spoke about. So I thought I should get into it. And the story is just amazing. Like, it hits so many big topics, and I think anybody who plays the game will find a bit of themselves in one of the characters, at least. And of course, as someone who is training to become a games developer, building on what Sean said, the mechanics and just the overall design of the game were so ahead of its time. Like, even playing it now in 2018, it still stands up with some of the AAA releases that are coming out now. And as we've seen gameplay footage from Part 2, it seems like it's going to do the same thing in our time, being ahead of the time again. So, like, it's just so well made, and it makes... Because I love... One of the reasons I want to become a game developer is so that I can tell stories and that I can impact people's lives, and that's something that I know The Last of Us has done to just so many people.
Yeah, like I agree. Like, because obviously I guess I'm studying it as an actor, but like The Last of Us like was the game that made me want to be like a voice actor and stuff. Like, it's just everything about it is perfect, and like you said, it was like always ahead of its time, and like it's still like a really good game, and it's like came out 5 years ago, but it's still so good and does stand up against AAA games coming out at the moment, and it's just like. And then when you see The Last of Us 2, you're just like mind blown. Like, the trailers just look so realistic. And it's just great. I stan.
Yeah, they just put so many mechanics in they couldn't fit in a jump mechanic. That's the only problem.
I mean, they've got one now. We've got a jump mechanic in Part 2, apparently.
Finally.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when The Last of Us first came out and everybody was freaking out about it because it was a really good game, I didn't have a PS3 at the time, so I just watched a playthrough. And I really, really loved it, and so I watched like every single playthrough, and I found out like every single like fact and anything behind the scenes and all that stuff about it. So when the PS4 came out, one of my mom's friends gave me his PS3, and the first thing I bought was The Last of Us, and then I actually played it the first time probably in 2014 maybe, and it was like the best game I'd ever played. I mean, watching playthroughs was like amazing, but then actually playing it, you could like really see how incredible it was, and I've pretty much been obsessed with it ever since.
Yeah.
Ken? Yeah, I forgot to mention it. I did end up playing the game after watching like a million playthroughs, because I was poor. I still am, but I saved up to get The Last of Us, and I played it, and I've played it about like, I don't know, I've played it well over 20 times at least by now, and that's not even including, I've watched some playthroughs, like I've watched Markiplier's and Jacksepticeye's playthrough of The Last of Us like well over 20 times each on their own, so
Yeah,
I'm familiar with the.
So yeah, I've watched a playthrough once through now, and I'm getting my way through the game. But one of the things that I've done is I really kind of dug deep into the lore and stuff, like looking into like the wiki and stuff, and like trying to learn more about the little in-depth things. Like when we had that discussion a while ago about the stages of infection and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I was just thinking about literally the infection, because that definitely really does play a big part of the story. Without it, it'd just be I don't know what it would be. Just
No.
yeah, I feel like trying to define The Last of Us is difficult in itself. Because
Yeah, because I feel like just calling it like a zombie apocalypse game doesn't give the story justice. Because like
No.
it's much
I
more
feel
than
like yeah, exactly. Like I feel like obviously the whole thing of it being a zombie apocalypse is cool and stuff, and like having infected, that's like a cool concept and stuff. But I know for me personally, like I'm more there for like the development of the characters and stuff like that, because the characters they've created are so like individual and interesting to see. Like we know Joel isn't like necessarily like a good guy, but you still like want to root for him.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like when somebody just told me, oh, it's a zombie story game, I was kind of like, okay, so like it's just gonna be some guys running around attacking zombies and trying to get to a place, like not that good. But then when you look at it, and each character has their own storyline, like literally within like the first 5 minutes, like you can tell what kind of person Sarah is. You're getting involved with her straight away. Like she's so detailed, even though you only know her for like what 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of
Yeah.
course,
And I feel like you can say that with Tess as well. Like, you don't know Tess for all that long, considering how long the game is. But, like, I have yet to meet someone who's, like, disliked Tess or hasn't found her interesting.
exactly.
Or, like, and you don't know her for all that long, but you instantly kind of know that she's, like, a fucking badass woman, and, like, no one fucks with her. And, like, you kind of know her and Joel's dynamic, because even though, like, as you play through the game, you know, like, Joel's kind of a leader type, but like, personally I feel like a lot of people agree, like, Tess was the one in control of, like, the partnership she had with Joel, and you barely even know her.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's kind of talk about. Should we talk about our favorite moments of the game, or
Yeah.
should we talk about our favorite characters first?
Maybe they might even like link into each other, to be honest.
Probably, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about our favorites as a whole then. So
Okay.
so
Would you
for
say-
me, the entirety of like my favorite part is Ellie and her puns. Really, I'm a big lover of puns. I got a kick definitely out of them. Although, if you listen to them over and over again for a few hours, it does get a bit annoying, but it just makes you love them more. So yeah, kind of Ellie, and then her puns, and then I want to say the entirety of the Left Behind DLC.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
A classic.
I mean, it was so good. I mean, the way that it cuts between, the past and present day, the way it kind of helps develop Riley as a character, even though she's only mentioned by name in the main game. How it helps develop characters that we don't even see as well. Like, Winston.
Yeah.
Like, it was so well done, and it definitely felt like a challenge playing as Ellie in that shopping mall. Even with like the aspect of playing with Riley with the water guns to actually like trying to sneak around clickers and stuff. I really enjoyed those aspects of the fun and the serious side of it. So yeah, that's like what I like in a nutshell, more or less. All right. So who's next then?
I can go next.
Well, I was just gonna add it on to something you said about like getting to know smaller characters.
Mhm.
Like it's even stuff like I really like. I don't know if any of you have read. I know Rachel has, but obviously the American Dreams comic books. I really like how the DLC linked in with American Dreams. Like, but even the smallest bit, like you would know. Even if you have, because you can play the DLC without reading them, but like for people who have read the comics, like it's such a nice little treat because you got to know first like Briley and Ellie's like relationship is very different in the comics to how we see it has developed over time when we see the DLC. So it's so interesting to see that, and like even we're hearing about Winston and Princess, and like Briley like briefly mentions Tino, and like if you read the comics, you know who Tino is, and it's just like little Easter eggs like that. It's just like so nice, like the little bits of detail that have gone in it to tell the story of like Rachel. Oh my god, of Riley and Ellie's like relationship and like how far they've come and like what they've been through together.
Yeah, if you haven't read American Dreams, it's online. You should.
It's really good.
Yeah, I'll definitely read it as soon as we finish this episode.
Sorry to interrupt you, Luke. You may carry on now.
That's fine. Don't worry. I'm not angry. So again, I'm only probably even a quarter of the way through my playthrough, and I have watched the gameplay. I'd say so far my favorite character is probably Tess. And my favorite moment is that moment you have just before she dies, because you just see her completely break down that wall she's had up.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing where you finally realize how hard this civilization is on a person.
Yeah, totally.
Like, especially someone who's not like just following the rules by the book. Like, you just see that she's like all this like stress and stuff that's bottled up. She's finally just like, this is my last trip. Like, this is the last thing I have to do. And then you find out she's infected, and she gives herself up for Joel and Ellie. It's like so heartbreaking, and it starts to put into. I mean, of course, there's I'd say a recurring theme of loss throughout the entire game, and it just starts that ball rolling, and it hits you straight away. Because that's the thing that I love about the story writing as well, is that like they're just not afraid to do things that could make. They make the story better, but they could anger the fan base. But like they don't. They're like, the story's more important, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
like,
there's like a key aspect with it, like you
yeah.
said.
I love Tess because, and also like from the start, having this strong female character, just like really like kicks into the whole kind of universe and stuff. Like, it doesn't matter who you are or whatever, like you fight for yourself in this civilization, and she's always had she's like the whole way through you see her as this really tough person, like how she deals with Robert and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And just in a second, when she finds out, when she realizes like this is the end for her, like she's trapped in this situation, like she's either going to turn or she's going to have to just give herself up, and she just realizes that, it just breaks down, and you start seeing some real emotion from her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my favourite moment so far.
Right.
Yeah, I really I gotta agree. I do love Tess, and like you were saying, like just seeing her break down like that, because she's always, like I said earlier, she's always like a really strong character. Like she doesn't really show any like signs of weakness, and like the fact that she'll go so far to just like convince Joel to do this one thing and like put his trust into, like, even though she does not believe the Fireflies, obviously she doesn't trust the Fireflies, and she definitely doesn't trust Marlene. She's willing to put like her whole life at risk just to like have this potential like cure, and like she believes so much in Ellie, and like you can really tell that, like just by like from a performance kind of look at like the voice acting for Tess, like it's like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Annie did a really good job with that.
Yeah, definitely.
He did.
Then again, the entire cast did a really good job.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Everyone in the game is like exceptional, which is something I don't remember who said it. I think it's PewDiePie's playthrough. Like he said something about like Ellie's voice acting, and I was like, you shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he was just like, oh yeah, her voice acting was off sometimes. I was like, no, it fucking wasn't.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the acting's just done so well, and like because and with how realistic some of like the cutscenes look and stuff, like you do feel like sometimes you're just watching a movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Like that's one thing that I feel with the game is that I feel like the combat is great. Don't get me wrong, it's a great system and it works really well with the looting and everything. But I do feel like it's kind of a side thing. Like the storyline is what I'm there for, and the actors make that so much better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like if you disagree, please say. But like,
Yeah.
No, I agree.
That's the cool thing about communities. It's a whole like that has a diversity of opinions, whether people prefer the gameplay or the story, and most of the like opinions are really positive to it as well. That kind of is like what makes the game special as well. Just like because everyone who's worked on it put their all into it.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Who's going next?
Perhaps I'll go.
Rachel, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I feel like it's kind of many people's answers, but I'd have to say my favorite is Ellie. Just because, I mean, Sean and I were talking about it like a couple days or a couple weeks ago because all we talk about is The Last of Us. And it's true. And we were talking about how Ellie really is like kind of like this light in like a dark world because it's all she's ever known. You know, the infection was already going on for years before she was born, and she knows how to like make her way through the world and be happy. Whereas Joel, you know, he's seen what it used to be, and I think that he has hardened over the years because of that. Whereas Ellie just is happy all the time because this is all she knows, and she knows how to make do with it. And my favorite part, that's really hard. There's a really good part, I think it's kind of a little underrated, when Ellie kills that guy for Joel, and Joel's mad at her. And after the next fight sequence, he understands where she's coming from, and he gives her a gun to protect herself. And it has, I think, a lot less to do with the actual gun and a lot more to do with like the symbolism of it.
Yeah, totally.
And
Like relationship.
Joel being like quick to get angry because everyone has kind of like abandoned him in a way, but then he really realizes that okay, Ellie's different. We can trust her, and it's a really good part of the game.
Yeah.
I really kind of just talking about like Ellie and Joel's relationship kind of really did bring a point I forgot about, which is really bad because it's such a important part of the story, and it's basically where the chapter is contrasting between Ellie trying to basically get away from David whilst Joel is trying to save Ellie, whilst Ellie is basically just protecting herself. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, because their relationship is like, of course, the pinnacle of the storyline, and there's just so many bits in the storyline where everyone can have like contrasting opinions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mhm.
I know that me and Rachel had a very heated debate when I finished my watching the gameplay, and with the decision that Joel makes at the very end.
Oh yeah, we all had like a
Yeah.
big discussion
Because
about
of course, as a player of the game, of course, I wanted Ellie to be saved. I didn't want her to die, of course. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I was like, I want humanity to be able to get out of this horrible thing they're in. And when Joel lied to Ellie, I got really angry. Like, I don't know. I think like seeing him as like this parental figure that then just like lied to her just made me like, I don't know, made me like fuming.
But I feel like you've like even said your own point there, because he is a parental figure at this point, like, and parents will lie to protect people like that they love. They will lie to like
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's just like the point I guess I was trying to make is like
Yeah,
it's- the storyline is written so well that like
You don't know how to feel.
yeah, and it's one of those things which it fosters important discussion.
Yeah, totally.
Like, because of
It's
course
like a moral. It's like a moral question too. Like
exactly like, and it's that kind of thing where it's like, what's the saying?
the one.
Kill the one to save the many, or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
totally.
so like, it's just like that whole scene really played on my morals and my brain for so long.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my kind of like rationale to it was that if they could get a cure from Ellie, they would have to, kill every single infected that is already out there, and then they'd also have to give the vaccine to everyone, like every single person to be born and everyone that already is born. Like that would be really hard when you think about it, because every person needs it. You can't just forget one, because then they could turn infected, and then that's how it started. One person was infected, and then it spread. So it would be really hard, even if they got a vaccine, to give it to everybody, I think. So, I mean, I just want to believe Joel's good, but I'm wrong.
Can I ask a question which is a bit idiotic of me?
What?
Yeah.
Has it been mentioned in the lore that the infection was global, or was it just like the United States?
I
I think it's global.
global. Let me have a quick look.
Because I don't remember anything on the top of my head kind of talking about, internationally, because because that would play a really big part of the story, right?
I don't think it's like explicitly mentioned. I feel like it's kind of implied, but I don't know. I mean, you're right. That would change a lot.
Yeah.
The thing is reading through the wiki, it does seem to be saying a lot of things that are American only, like the Center for Disease Control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
in the
I
beginning,
think
when they're talking about it, they only mention like American states.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it is international.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Yeah.
Because if
If
it
it was
wasn't,
international, I feel like it would be so much easier to contain it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That-
I feel like it wouldn't have got to the level it would have if,
Yeah.
especially like governments like just disappearing and like not caring about what's going on. Like if there was other countries that were safe, they would at least do something to like try and create some safety.
Yeah. Because the one thing I remember, because going back to Rachel's point, like about it taking forever to get around the world.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I remember that we were getting like all scientific in our little chat and trying to,
Yeah.
and it was just like I was trying to think back to like other vaccines that have been distributed around the world and stuff, and like as you said, like they were all done by like official running governments and things like the World Health Organization, which I very much doubt exist anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you had
So, like,
you had Fedra, obviously, in The Last of Us, who
Yeah.
were like the government trying to do something about it. But like as we learn, Fedra is not like a good group. But that's the same with any group in The Last of Us. Like no one can really be trusted. Like
Yeah.
the Fire is shady, Fedra is shady. Like you got hunters and bandits and stuff like that. Like everyone's out there to
Cutthroat.
like hurt other people. Yeah, it's like you're not really safe wherever you go. I suppose that's another part of like the moral questions. Like me and Rachel was talking about how she would be a part of the Fireflies if she were in the Last of Us universe, which I don't think I would be because I don't agree with what they're doing. Like I can see where they come from and why they're doing what they're doing, but I don't think what they're doing is necessarily right.
Yeah. Because I do believe that if there was some sort of vaccine, it would eventually get round. Like, however long it would take, it would eventually
Yeah.
cure everyone and they would be rid of it. But there would be so many roadblocks along the way. Like, because if you think about that kind of civilization, you're going to have people who have benefited from it. Like,
Yeah.
Like, there could have been people who had really, really shitty lives, and then suddenly this comes along and they're all fine. Like they've been able to just prisoners, people, maybe even people like in large amounts of debt or just in not very good living situations, and then they can go and join the Fireflies and rise up, and they might not want to go back to that kind of thing, so they could try.
That I feel that stands for like people like David. Like David
Yeah.
had his own kind of like group, and like he had his intentions of like it's it's been like confirmed that he had intentions to breed with Ellie.
Yeah.
He had
No.
his little life set out. He was in charge of like his own group, and he had his own ideals to share and shit like that. And I feel like he benefited from this universe.
Yeah, so that's the thing, there would always be that kickback. So maybe it was good that Joel saved Ellie, but at the same time, it's just I'll always, whenever I know when I hit that part in my playthrough, it's gonna hit me hard again. But I think that's what's so amazing about The Last of Us, that every little thing even though it's not even a decision based game, I don't think, is it? Like you can't
No.
like
It's
you can't
fixed.
change. Yeah. So but like you get so involved in it that you feel like you're making these decisions as Joel and as Ellie. Like I don't know, like when you when you're clicking that button to pick up Ellie, it feels like you're making that decision, and that's why Naughty Dog know, like, are so good at making these games, and they know when to put in these little interactive bits. Even though it's probably mostly a storyline game, they're putting interactivity in the right places.
Yeah, totally.
Even if like the main story is the same, it'll be interesting to see. People do actually go back and see what the other options were.
Yeah, and
as well.
an example of that is like you were saying when you pick up Ellie, like you can decide you don't have to shoot all the doctors in that room. Like there's only the one with the knife you have to shoot, whereas the others you can continue the game with keeping them alive, and like that's such like a little moral question just in that, like whether you decide to kill everyone in that room without needing to.
Yeah.
I
But they
didn't
get-
know that.
You didn't know that?
Oops.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like at that point you're so in Joel's headspace.
Yeah,
that,
totally.
Like you will do anything to save Ellie, and especially after that's the thing is that whole sequence where you play as Ellie. Like I mean, everyone's already involved in her by this point. Like if you're not, you're crazy. But like you just get you get so much more involved in her storyline, and playing as her, you get to know her on that personal level again.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I think that's the thing with Joel though, is that everyone has their own experience with him, because as much as he's written in that way, the little things you do as Joel will change your like idea of what he is and what kind of person he is. So for example, killing all those doctors, like in your mind you're doing that as Joel, you're not doing it as yourself.
Yeah.
So getting that time with Ellie also shapes our thoughts of her.
Yeah.
I'm getting all like game theory on this now.
No, I know.
No. I didn't kill all the doctors.
I didn't either.
Well,
You're just making me look bad.
Well, you didn't know.
I won't want to get there now.
True. I realised I didn't talk about my favourite parts yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should.
I love being a mess. No, I would just say with Rachel as well. It's like an obvious answer, but like I love Ellie so much. She's just so like, and like when Rachel, like, because this obviously me and Rachel both had this conversation together, but like Ellie really is the light in the world, and it's for every character she comes across. With Joel, like Joel's lost everything. He has no one, and then he has Ellie. He has this person he can fight for rather than himself. This person that he can always protect and look out for. And Tess, like, she sees the light in Ellie when Ellie's a cure, and so do the Fireflies, and then David sees the light in Ellie. Whether that's right or not, David sees the light in Ellie because she's this young, bright girl who has so much to bring to him and his, like, little group. And, like, everywhere she goes, like, she brings happiness with her, and she, like, doesn't let the darkness of the world, like, take that away from her. And, like, her little...
Even with Tommy
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, like she's so different from everyone else in the game, and like I feel like that's such a rarity in that kind of world. That's why everyone's like so easily like interested by her, and like want, like as a player you want the best for her because like you see like how much she does for everyone else, and like she's always like, despite like always being so happy and stuff, she's had like a lot of shit happen to her. Like she's not had a good time herself, but she doesn't let that discourage her, and like all the people that she's lost. She doesn't let that affect who she is as a person.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think she's just a really well-written and interesting character, and she's also so funny, and
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
badass too, like, despite, like, she's like a young girl, she's like 14, right, and she still is out here, like, being confident as fuck, and, like, shooting guns, like, obviously you have to in that universe, and, like, you have to, like, when you're in that kind of situation, but, like, even, like, with Bill, like, Bill's, like, she straight up just argues with Bill, like, is trying to fight him. She doesn't know him. She doesn't know what he can do to her. But she doesn't care. Same as like instantly with Joel. She's like swearing. And she's got the mouth of like a sailor. And she's like there's two different sides to her. Like the like really kind of sweet and innocent side of Ellie that we get to see a lot of the time. Where like the simplest things when she sees the ice cream truck and she's like, whoa, no fucking way was that like someone sold ice cream out of that. And like she's just like so innocent, but at the same time she like tries so hard to like especially to protect Joel. Like she doesn't know much about Joel, but she cares about him. Like he is family. I don't know, I really love Ellie. I think there's so much to her as a person, especially in like I'm excited to see her in The Last of Us Part 2 just because I want to see like how she's changed over time, like after like especially because I personally think she knows Joel lied to her.
Yeah, me too.
If that's true or not, but like if that is the case, I want to see like how that's affected their dynamic, or whether she like obviously she can't hate him that much because she's still there with him and Jackson. But yeah, I'm excited to see that. But my favorite part in the game, that's really hard. I really love the Left Behind DLC just because like if you don't know like my story, read my biography. Like I came out as gay because of the Left Behind DLC, so like I owe a lot of myself to that, and like I've like been through like a lot of tough times in my life, and The Last of Us has like really helped me get through that, especially Ellie's character. So I'll always have like a really deep love for that DLC and just Ellie as a person. But I think like this is such an like people really love this scene, but I feel like one of my favorite scenes is probably with the giraffes because it's just
yeah.
and yeah,
It's a good scene.
yeah, everyone loves that scene. It's just such a good scene. Or like, I really like it when, even though it's a sad scene, I really like it after Ellie kills David, and like Joel just comes up to her and is hugging her, and he's like, I know, baby girl, I know, and it's just like
Ooh.
him calling her baby girl. It's just like such like a change in dynamic for them, like a step forward, like because when Sarah dies, that's what he calls her when he's cradling her, and now he's looking after Ellie, and they've gone through so much together, and they've had arguments, and now he's run off, and they've tried to like decide like where both of them stand, and like Joel's felt very conflicted in himself as if he was betraying Sarah by caring for Ellie, and like he's tried to like put her off to like Tommy and like get rid of her after he realized he was getting attached to her. And then in this moment he finally decides actually he's not scared to look after her, he's not scared to get attached to her, and he's like willing to be there for her no matter the situation. I just think like it's a really like beautiful like pivotal moment in the story.
And even really helps Joel with acceptance as well.
Yeah, totally.
That's
like
because like it's like 20 years after he lost Sarah, and even when that scene like where Ellie saved the picture or gave it to him was like fuck. Oh fuck.
I'm gonna start crying.
yeah, exactly. Like it's just like there's so much going on with both of them in that moment. Like Ellie's like obviously like really traumatized by this event and like everything that's gone on, and she didn't know whether then she had to think about whether Joel was going to be okay while she was trying to get all through this, because obviously Joel was injured, and like then Joel's like finally like given into the fact that he does care for her and that's okay, despite like everything that's gone on before that, and like him trying to like just get rid of her to fight the fact that he cares about her. I don't know, I like that moment always like fucks me up every time I see it.
Yeah, and I think that another thing is that in that moment, Joel, finally like, comes to terms with the fact that he, cares for Ellie, and it's not like betraying Sarah. But when the next, is it spring? Is the next chapter for that? Winter, spring? Yeah, spring. Sorry, I don't know how the seasons work. It's interesting because Joel is like, because of that, much more open, and
Yeah.
then Ellie is a lot more closed off because she's been like traumatized by the whole David situation. And going back to the giraffe scene, it's like that scene that really brings it all back together. They're both
And also, like,
happy with each other again.
another thing with the scene that follows that is because obviously Joel is like, yeah, I'll teach you how to swim, I'll teach you how to play guitar, all this kind of stuff. Like, and he's like looking forward to the future, even though he's taking them to the Fireflies. Whereas the dynamic completely changes because, like, all along Ellie's been so excited to go to the Fireflies, and Joel's just been like, oh, get over with, and he hasn't really cared all that much. And now, like, he's like thinking about the future and what they're going to do after the Fireflies. Like, he's been determined just to get there, but now he just like wants to think about everything after that. And like Ellie's got the same. Like, she's thinking about, like, she's like, oh, it's over now. Like, she's upset because she doesn't want to lose Joel, and she's scared that she's just going to go to the Fireflies and he's going to leave her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just glad, you know, they're together at the end, you know? They're basically... Because if Ellie would have died at the end of The Last of Us, I don't know how I would have handled it.
Yeah, same.
I don't think
I'm
so.
just glad. I'm glad she's back. She's in part 2. She got a girlfriend, stealing it from literally,
Yeah.
literally from Jesse.
It's what it deserves.
Yeah.
I have a lot of favourite moments. Like, a lot of my favourite moments, that's like one of the more sad ones, but like I like the DLC, like just the whole of the DLC is just, everything about it is so good to me. And like the little moment after like the photo booth, when they're sat there, and there's that moment where you're like, will they, won't they, when they're gonna kiss? And like, I know for me personally, like, I was instantly like, oh wait, is there like something going on between them? But a lot of people didn't see that. But like, I feel like, especially as like a queer person, like, you're like, oh shit, like, are they gonna do this? And then you're like, oh, maybe not, maybe I was just reading into it. But there's so many little things to pick up on, and they're like, then them finally kissing felt so like true to the story and true to who they were and their dynamic. Like, and the whole, like, Ellie wanting to know why she left, which we know now is because Riley was, like, scared because they got too close, and, like, but, like, the whole truth or daring each other to try and get these answers.
Mm-hmm.
I miss Riley.
I'm emotional. I miss Riley too. Big mood. Oh, I love Riley so much.
God, I'm just thinking about that scene. No.
Yeah, it's almost.
Whenever we were like organizing this podcast, I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be a nice fun time. And now I kind of it's like, oh shit, it's sinking in. What's going on? Please no.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know, it's just like, I have like, there's no, like I've said this before, but there's no fictional relationship that will fuck me up the way that Ellie and Riley's does, just because, like, at the time it meant so much to me, and like, it just felt so real, and like, I don't know, I love them so much. They're so cute, and I miss Riley so much. I think she was such a good character. Like, and like, that's another person we didn't really know for long. Like, we didn't get to see Riley all that much, but like, what we did see of her was like, she made, like, something that really fucks me up is that, like, Riley taught Ellie everything she knows when we met her. Like, everything Ellie knows about survival and like fighting. Like, if you've read the comic books, like, Ellie didn't used to be like that. She was more reserved. Like, she wouldn't like start fights herself. Like, she didn't like know how to really look after herself. But when she meets Riley, like, Riley takes her like exploring and like sticks up for her against bullies and stuff like that. And like, she's so like, there's a part where she's admiring like something Riley said when she was like sticking up for her, and she's just like repeating it to herself, and she's like impressed because Riley's so cool. And like, it's just so, it makes me so emotional to think like, when we see Ellie and everyone's like, oh, Ellie's so fucking badass, and like, Ellie's like can look after herself and she's so young and stuff like that, but like, you forget that the person Riley got that from was the person Ellie got that from is Riley. Mm-hmm. So like, when she loses Riley, she like loses a part of herself.
Yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, I know.
I think another reason why like Ellie and Riley is so iconic is because a lot of times when people write like kids or teenagers, they make them just really annoying and stupid because I think that that's all that like kids and teenagers can do can be. But I think that when they were, Ellie and Riley, and even Ellie now because she's 19, she's still pretty young. They're showing that she doesn't have to be annoying or aggravating just because she's younger. She can actually have a purpose and be a person and have like a personality.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and like that sparks like a whole other discussion. Like when people are like, oh, Ellie is not gay, she's just like experimenting with herself, and then people are like, no, that's who she is. Especially in that world, like Ellie is, despite Ellie being 13 at the time when she kisses Riley, like she's still like so much older than she actually is, because like when you're in that world, you have to learn to act older and think older because there's no option to be childish. And so I think when we see those moments of like Ellie and Riley just like playing around and like just like being in love and having fun with each other, like that is their moment of getting to be children and getting to relax and like just like be with each other, because they don't get that option. What with like Riley joining the Fireflies and Ellie being at school, military school and all that kind of stuff, like I don't know, it's so well, just everything about The Last of Us is so well put together. Like you can tell how much love and thought has gone into like every single line, every detail, and like I think like every time I play it, I always notice like something new and like something that I'm like, wow, that's like fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And the great thing about The Last of Us is there's a bunch of content as well. Not just with like the overall main story, with the collectibles as well, which actually do help to give an insight on different characters. Because I know one collectible that I didn't even know existed until I was playing Left Behind recently was you could go into Ellie's backpack and read her a letter from Anna.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Fucking. I just can't wait to talk about The Last of Us more, in like more detail and specific parts. Because what we're going to be doing, everybody, is every episode we're going to be doing either talking about a chapter in The Last of Us, or we'll do like a character study. Or if you guys have any recommendations, please let us know, and we'll happily, talk about that in a future episode.
Yeah.
And I think that's everything that we really want to kind of discuss currently for the pilot, right?
Yeah.
Unless I'm forgetting something.
Just how much we love The Last of Us, really.
I feel like a little bit of a story time here when all of us watched the Sony conference
Oh yeah.
at E3, and I feel like that's kind of like what spawned this.
Yeah,
we were
watched,
so shook.
Me and Sean freaking out for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like me, like, because you guys carried on like watching the stream and like talking about everything that was going on. I mean, Rachel just like disassociated, like blacked out, like
Yeah, we didn't speak like the rest of the stream.
Yeah, like I was there physically, but I was not there mentally.
Literally, we were just chatting and having being like, well, this is all so good, and you guys was like, sorry, what?
Yeah, literally.
What's going on?
And
like,
the thing
I was just like Snapchatting Rachel, being like, I'm still shaking in my cowgirl boots.
Join us next time where we ask if Ellie is a yeehaw gay.
I've got the answer, and it's yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like that's the episode. That's our pilot. That's who we are. We appreciate everyone for listening in. We really appreciate it. If you want to keep updated with us, we'll have a link to our Twitter, which is @thequarantine. Our Tumblr, I forgot. I think it's like Quarantine Zone Podcast at tumblr.com or something. We have a yeah, that's really about it. We have so if you want to like get in contact with us, tweet us as well. You
can contact us on Tumblr too. We'll respond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good way to end the episode.
Yeah.
So, thank you for listening for this complete rant about how much we love The Last of Us. We hope you join us for future episodes. But that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.